Today is October 6th, 2020, and you're watching Horseshoe Politics. This is a YouTube channel where I make videos ranging from my predictions for upcoming elections and who I think is going to win those elections, to me commentating on current events and talking about the implication of those events. For today's video, I was actually not at all sure what to make it about. There are so many things going on right now. You have Donald Trump and Melania Trump, both of them still are infected with COVID-19. Although Trump recently did get released from the Walter Reed Hospital, it has only been a few days since he's been infected with the virus, so it's most likely that he has not fully recovered yet. You also have the virus spreading throughout Trump's entire administration. You have people like Kayleigh McEnany getting it. You have a few senators that met with his administration getting it, like Tom Tillis and Ron Johnson. You also have former Governor Chris Christie who got it. And surprisingly, Mike Pence hasn't tested positive yet. I'm not sure if he will test positive later or not, but because Mike Pence has not tested positive for this virus, he is able to participate in tomorrow's vice presidential debate against Kamala Harris. I'm probably going to make tomorrow's video about the vice presidential debate, and I'll upload that before the debate actually takes place. But you also have the recently released audio clips of Melania Trump from 2018. Now, I would say this is not really as important as the other events I just talked about, and this also happened a few days ago, but it's still pretty noteworthy, I would say. But in today's video, we're going to be talking about this specific Senate race. You can see it in the title. The South Carolina Senate race between incumbent Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and the Democratic challenger Jamie Harrison. So apparently the debate between these two actually happened a few days ago on October 3rd. I actually did not know about this until after the debate already took place, otherwise I probably would have watched it, but I have not watched it yet. I might watch it after I upload this video. I might watch the replay of the debate and see what each candidate said, but I've read some articles over the basic rundown of the debate. And what was pretty funny actually was that Jamie Harrison was kind of worried about Lindsey Graham having COVID because multiple other senators had already tested positive for COVID, like Ron Johnson and Tom Tillis. And apparently, Lindsey Graham might have come into contact with some of these Republicans or some of these Trump administration members who have tested positive for the virus. Because Jamie Harrison was scared of that and he wasn't sure if the podiums at the debate would be spread out far enough, he actually came prepared with his own plexiglass shield that protected him from Lindsey Graham just in case Lindsey Graham had COVID. I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, I guess one of the things he's trying to do with that is he just wants to show people that he's taking extra precautions to protect himself from the virus, and if he gets elected to the Senate, he'll do that for you guys also. I guess that's the message he's trying to send. That's also, I guess, why Joe Biden wears the mask during the debates, because he's trying to contrast himself with Donald Trump. Joe Biden's basically saying, oh, I'm wearing the mask because I'm trying to protect myself from the virus, and if I'm president, I'll protect you guys from the virus also. That's basically the kind of image that they both Joe Biden and Jamie Harrison, both of these people are trying to give the sense that they will protect you from the virus just like how they're taking precautions to protect themselves. I just thought that was pretty interesting. That's not really that important to this actual video, but let's actually get on with the video now. So apparently, Lindsey Graham and Jamie Harrison in the South Carolina Senate polls, they are almost neck and neck, which I found really interesting because I was expecting Graham to easily get reelected to the Senate because Lindsey Graham, he's been in the Senate since early 2003. He got elected in 2002, took office in early 2003, and even before that, he served in the House of Representatives since like 1995. So he's been in Congress for a while, and his name is pretty widely recognized. But he's also disliked by a lot of people. And one of the recent events that happened was after Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away, Lindsey Graham, despite himself saying in 2016 that if a Supreme Court justice passed away in 2020 during the presidency of a Republican, so like the last year of the first term of a Republican president, because back in 2016 they didn't know who would win the presidential election yet. But Lindsey Graham basically said in 2016, if a Supreme Court justice passes away in the last year of the first term of a Republican president, then he will choose not to vote on it until after that election ends, because that's the stance he took on the issue in 2016 when Justice Antonin Scalia passed away. He said that we should wait, they shouldn't take a vote on the justice until after the election. That's what they ended up doing. They waited until Donald Trump got elected, he nominated Neil Gorsuch, then they took a vote on him, because Obama nominated Merrick Garland, but Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate, they did not allow a vote on Merrick Garland for the entire 10 months that Obama was still president after he nominated Merrick Garland. So I think that's just one of Lindsey Graham's most recent comments that might be getting a lot of criticism, and that might be one of the reasons why Jamie Harrison's now doing pretty well against Lindsey Graham in the polls. You can see the polls on screen now. All of them have Graham winning by no more than 3 percentage points. Some of them even have even tie, and one of them even has Jamie Harrison up by 2 percentage points. All these polls are from the past month, so they're fairly recent. So they will be accounting for recent changes in the electorate. But some of these were taken before late September, so they might not account for Lindsey Graham's comments on the Supreme Court justice and who would replace the Supreme Court justice and when they would take a vote on it, because he announced like in late September that despite what he said in 2016, he's still gonna take a vote on whoever Trump nominates. That's the other thing I haven't talked about in a while on the channel. I originally said that the Supreme Court justice that Trump nominated most likely wouldn't get through the Senate before Joe Biden became president, but that might not actually be true now. It seems like Republicans are doing everything they can to get Amy Coney Barrett through the Senate and to the Supreme Court. But here's the thing. I mentioned earlier in this video that Ron Johnson and Tom Tillis, it might be one other senator, Republican senator now at this point, they have been infected with COVID now, so they might not actually be able to take a vote on the Supreme Court justice confirmation, and they might not also be able to sit down for the confirmation hearings. So Chuck Schumer was talking about using that as a reason to delay the confirmation hearings for Amy Coney Barrett, as well as delaying the confirmation vote on her. So we're gonna have to see how that plays through still. But getting back to the main point of this video, Jamie Harrison's surprisingly doing really well against Graham, because I was not expecting Jamie Harrison to do nearly as well as he's doing in the polls. I made my Senate prediction video just a few days ago, maybe not even a week ago from today. I don't remember the exact date, but basically I listed all the states I thought were swing states for the Senate, but in that video, South Carolina was not one of the states. I think I said in that video that Lindsey Graham would easily win that Senate seat. And the reason why I said that is because South Carolina is a fairly conservative state. South Carolina in the presidential elections has consistently voted for a Republican candidate every single election cycle for the last several election cycles. Ever since at least the 1980s, if not even earlier, they've consistently voted for Republicans over Democrats. Besides the presidential elections, South Carolina has also consistently been voting in Republican senators. Take Lindsey Graham, for example. He is a Republican senator that has been serving ever since he got elected to the Senate as a Republican back in 2002 in South Carolina. That means that he's been serving for 18 years now, which makes him a three-term senator. So he's won election 3 times already in the state of South Carolina as a Republican senator. If you look at the other senator from South Carolina, that's Tim Scott. He is also a Republican, and he's also one of the first African Americans to get elected to the Senate as a Republican. So both Senate seats are currently filled by Republicans in the state of South Carolina. So South Carolina has been consistently voting for Republicans for many decades. If you look at Lindsey Graham's seat, before he got elected to that seat in 2002, that seat was filled by Strom Thurmond. He was a senator that spent many decades in the Senate from the state of South Carolina, ever since he got voted into the Senate originally in the 1950s. Yeah, he served from the 1950s all the way until 2003, which was a really long time. That's almost half a century. He originally got elected as a Democrat, but in the 60s, during the 1964 presidential election, Strom Thurmond switched from being a Democrat to being a Republican because of the presidential campaign of Barry Goldwater. To show his support for Barry Goldwater, he switched his political party from Democrat to Republican, and ever since then, from 1964 till 2003, when he finally retired from the Senate at the age of 100, Strom Thurmond was serving as a Republican senator, and he got elected over and over again ever since the 1960s as a Republican senator. So South Carolina has a long history of voting in Republicans, both at the presidential level and at the senatorial level. So that's why Lindsey Graham's re-election chances I thought were really good, but apparently Jamie Harrison is doing surprisingly well. At least that's the sense that you get if you look at the poll numbers and the fundraising numbers, because they're almost neck and neck in the polls, And I think that, at least in the first and second quarter of 2020, Jamie Harrison actually outraised Lindsey Graham in terms of campaign funding. So if you look at those metrics, it looks like the race is pretty close for the Senate seat, but here's the thing. I still think that Lindsey Graham's going to have a pretty easy time. Maybe not an easy time, maybe not, that's not the right word, but I think it's still pretty likely that Lindsey Graham gets reelected to the Senate seat. You can see on screen now, I have this chart from 538.com. Not only do they do projections for the presidential election, they also do it for all the different Senate elections. And on screen, I have their prediction for the 2020 South Carolina Senate race. And they give Lindsey Graham a 79% chance of winning re-election, while they only give Jamie Harrison a 21% chance of getting elected. Now, despite the fact that Jamie Harrison is almost neck and neck with Lindsey Graham in the polls, and he's also doing really well in terms of fundraising, Graham still has a much better chance of winning this Senate race. Why is that? The biggest reason why Lindsey Graham has this high of a chance of getting re-elected, despite what the polls say and despite the campaign fundraising numbers, the number one reason is just the fact that he's already been serving for a long time in the state of South Carolina. He's been serving as senator for 18 years, and before that he served in the House of Representatives for 8 more years. This means that, at least in the state of South Carolina, and even nationwide for that matter, he already has a lot of name recognition. Granted, not all of that name recognition is good name recognition. Some people have a negative perception of Lindsey Graham, whether it's because of his 2016 presidential campaign or because of his recent backtrack on his 2016 comments on the Supreme Court justice situation, him contradicting his stance from 4 years earlier. Those could be reasons why some people don't see him very favorably, but despite some people not seeing him that favorably, he does have a lot of name recognition. Even across the country, a lot of people know who he is, so in the state of South Carolina, he's definitely very well known. But one of the reasons why I think that he might not be doing that well in terms of fundraising is that Harrison is this young challenger to the longtime serving incumbent Lindsey Graham. At just age 44, Harrison is over 2 decades younger than Graham, who is currently age 65. Not only is he relatively young, he also takes relatively left-wing positions on many issues. For example, he supports legalization of marijuana, he also supports expanding Medicaid, and he also supports increased funding for coronavirus relief packages. These policy positions all sharply contrast those of Lindsey Graham's. For example, I highly doubt that he supports legalization of marijuana. When you put all these factors together with Jamie Harrison being this young candidate with all these left-wing policy positions, and you contrast that with Lindsey Graham's older age and him serving for decades already in South Carolina and him taking relatively right-wing positions on many policy issues, what that means is that you're going to have, for Jamie Harrison, you're going to have his base be made up of younger voters while you have Lindsey Graham's base be made up of older voters. So, like, for Graham, it would be people aged 50 plus, while for Harrison, it would be people aged 35 under that support those respective candidates. What this means for each candidate is that Jamie Harrison's base is probably going to be supporting him a lot more passionately, a lot more strongly than Lindsey Graham's base will be supporting him, because Jamie Harrison's base is made up of a lot younger supporters than Lindsey Graham's. And I would say this passion in Jamie Harrison's base is the reason why he has been outraising Lindsey Graham in terms of campaign funding. You can kind of think of it like the situation with the 2016 and 2020 Democratic presidential primaries, especially the 2020 primaries. Bernie Sanders was by far raising the most amount of campaign funds, and he was the candidate that had the most amount of support from younger voters, and he also had the most passionate support base. You could easily see it in like his rallies, for example, and that's the reason why he was raising the most amount of campaign funds. But the problem was that younger people don't turn out as much as older people do, and what this meant was that the younger people who supported Bernie Sanders, they didn't turn out in as high of numbers as the older people who supported Joe Biden did post Super Tuesday, and that's one of the biggest reasons why Joe Biden won the primaries over Bernie Sanders, despite Bernie Sanders having that stronger support base. So I think that's going to have a similar outcome in this Senate race. Despite Jamie Harrison's stronger, younger support base, they're not going to turn out as much. In general, younger people don't turn out as much in elections as older voters do. So in this election, I think that Lindsey Graham's supporters will turn out more than Jamie Harrison's, and in the end, Lindsey Graham will win this Senate election, most likely. There is a chance that Harrison could win, though. That would be pretty surprising, considering that I listed this Senate seat as a safe win for Lindsey Graham and the Republicans.